Hey there everybody, welcome back for part 3 of Gunstar Heroes. Today we're going to fight the rainbow. Probably not taste the rainbow, but I thought it was a funny title. Somebody free him! Oh, that was easy. I feel like they would have wrapped him up and put him away somewhere. Rather than just leave him out there. It looks like Yellow's been kidnapped and they want all the gems back, so that's a pretty obvious turn of events. Alright, now what we got here is a gauntlet level. We're gonna fight some old bosses that we remember, and we have to go through this, and you have to go through it all in one shot. If you die, you start back right here. Some of those boxes will contain health and things like that, but for the most part, it's easier just to run through the level. If you stop and try and break those boxes, you usually get hit more than it's worth. Those healths are only about 10. I like those flying guys up there. They're relatively easy to kill as far as you just keep shooting at them, but you can actually grab them and throw them. It always looks kind of funny. Yeah, every once in a while you're going to run into these tall boxes where you just have to... These are the times you're going to have to stop and fight. So the little flunky guys right now aren't really too much trouble, but what's going to happen is you're going to get to a certain point in the stage where you're going to fight a boss. And then after that, or a boss, or even just one of those little guys. But then what's going to happen is the enemies will get stronger. Wanted to show off a little bit of my throwing skills there, for no reason whatsoever. They probably just made the fight harder. Yeah, they do a good job giving you a lot of weapons. At the beginning of every section, I think one of those birds flies by to give you some power-ups, but if you're comfortable with what you have, you don't really need that. It's good to grab the health when you can. It's just not worth it to sit there and fight for them. You see, I'm just passing all those boxes. Now, don't get it wrong. If you've got a free second, feel free to get them. This guy's probably giving me a little bit more trouble than he should be. Here come the yellow guys. See if you, I don't know if you can tell, they're getting a little bit harder. It's easier to throw them now because the throw is pretty much an instant kill, whereas if I wait and shoot at them, it's gonna absorb my homing for a while. This part's a little tricky. You gotta be careful with this. Your homing will, every time you change focus, it's gonna home in on a different box, so it's gonna take longer to blow it up. If you're underneath it and it comes down on top of you, it can juggle you and cost you a lot of health. The top one usually has health in it, which it did this time. There we go. That's the easiest one to throw because of the platform. One good trick to use with guys like this, you can shoot them a little bit, shoot, and their invincibility frames won't trigger. So if you can shoot, and then grab them and throw them, that's a good way to cost them some health. These walking things aren't really any trouble. Just keep going. I don't remember if you can grab them or not, but just if you just shoot them, it's enough. When that one doesn't blow, it means there's a guy in there getting ready to walk around. I love this game. I actually found this game late. I didn't find this game in '93. This was something that I came across later. We were talking about just running gun shooters, and I remember the name just kept coming up. So I went out and I found a copy of it. I just fell in love with this game instantly. One important thing with this game that I love so much about it that you'll come to find I have in common with a lot of games that I really love is the sound. The explosions sound awesome. It just, everything about the sound just works very well for me. You know, a little bit of humor with that final soldier there. He just gets chucked off to the side. Now we're going to fight fake Bison. He, if you remember the fight from before, kind of does the same thing where after you hit him for a little while, he gets invincibility frames. You can grab him. It's not the safest thing to go out of your way to grab him. If he happens to pass by and he's vulnerable, take a grab at him. Yeah, ultimately, he's not too tough. And once you take care of him there, you're going to fight him again. The two versions of that attack. Here comes the other one. If you see simple pattern, nothing too dramatic. Just stay close to him for that one and just jump over it. It always dips down first. Don't get hit like I did. See if you see I work my way towards him and give him a throw. Does some good damage, so it's worth it to get a throw in there when you can. With his extendo arms. Extendo legs, I should say. It kind of reminds me of, like I said, it reminds me of Bison, which also reminded me of a character from, there's a fighting game called World Heroes. And I think his name was Brocken. But he kind of looked like Bison, but then he had robotic arms and legs, sort of like Inspector Gadget. Well, stage clear, but we didn't necessarily win. There's Yellow, and they want the gems for her safety. He's a good jumper. Very Matrixy. Must have learned it from Morpheus. Oh, here come our little buddies to give us a hand. Giving the bums rush. Yeah, it's a little bits of humor in this game that I really like. That and the fact, if I remember right, this is the part where the game's about to change. Oh, look at that. I had a spare spaceship lying around. Because, you know, who doesn't have one of those just sitting in their backyard? Now it turns into a shooter. What a cool. All systems ready. Once again, great time to have this weapon. Takes care of most things. You know, the game wasn't designed to be a shooter, so they don't make it too much of a challenge for you. Don't get me wrong, it can get a little overwhelming, especially on hard and expert mode. Still so cool. How bad is it that this little bit of the game is better than some shooters out there? I believe we did fight this guy earlier, but he took off before we can kill him. Now this is the Timuron, or Timuron. I call it Timuron because of the nature of the fighting. For this boss, you can actually kill him pretty easily. He dies really fast. The trick is you get a higher score the longer you last. This goes on for a little while, I can tell you that right now. I like to see sometimes how long I can go, but I don't want to go too long, just because, you know, I got things to do, and I'm sure you guys do too. Speaking of things to do, what's everybody playing right now? You can talk to me in the comments. I usually check those out. You know, I like to see what people are up to, what people are playing, see if anything that's going on recently is affecting what people play. You know, a little while ago there was a big movement towards Ninja Turtles because of the announcement of the second movie. So I noticed a lot of people, a lot of my friends and everything, even people online were playing Ninja Turtles. Kind of what spurred me to play Turtles in Time. I always like to see, you know, when I know Final Fantasy IX just came out on the Android and iOS, so I figure maybe people are either dipping into that or probably playing Final Fantasy Explorers. It's weird to talk about a different game when I'm playing this one, but now's as good a time around as any. Approaching the 2-minute warning. Alright. You notice it picks up after every minute. 2 minutes would be a little more. That's a noticeable increase in bullets. And I know this is a weird time to say it, but I want to thank everybody for joining me. I know I usually say it at some point, either at the beginning or the end, but I want to thank everybody for joining me so far. Thanks for subbing to the channel, and you know, thanks for watching. You know, thanks for being a supporter. I know that a lot of my subscribers at this point are fans of Some Call Me Johnny, so I want to extend a thank you to him for everything he's done for me, and a thank you to you guys for watching him and loving him. You know, Some Call Me Johnny, the Super Gaming Brothers, you know, obviously I've known those guys for a long time, but doesn't change the fact that they're still a great bunch of guys, whether you've known them for years or you meet them at a con for the first time. Most likely too many games. Alright, let's finish this up. So you see, when I finally actually did attack them, it went down pretty quick. Alright, back to business is sort of usual. Not usual for this game since this is the only shooter level, but yeah, these rocks are going to cause a problem. Later on, you'll see that they add bad guys on the front or the back of them. You gotta be careful with the power-ups in this section. I think all you have to do is press the button while you're moving past them, and you'll pick it up. So you don't want to accidentally pick something up, because once they start to float away, you could lose them very easily. You know, in the regular running levels, you just stand there, you pick it up, and you just pick up the other one. Sort of like the minecart level. So, you know, you got a little more time to grab them than the minecart level, but same situation. Oh, you jerk! That shot always catches me off guard. This is an interesting part. I like this. Very simple, you know, very short, but just a cool mechanic. I love games that, you know, at some point they try and change it up, give you something else. You know, you can run and gun the whole time, and then all of a sudden it turns into this. Or, you know, there's a game called Act Racer where you action platformer, and then it turns into a development sim. I'll probably have to do that game at some point. I love that game. You get the little guys there, they're kind of tough to hit because they're on the back end of the rock. Whew. Funny, you react because or at least I react because I always think they're gonna move inward. repair the last of those cannons? Oh, never mind. Oh yeah, this cannon was treated as a boss. Again, always catches me by surprise. Stay near the edge of the screen, and the bullets will leave the screen before they explode into the smaller ones. Yeah, lasers going all over the place. This is probably the hardest it's worked since the mine level. Yeah, at that point, just be patient. Even if you don't have the homing gun like that, you just shoot forward, it usually kills them all. Doing so much work. You see what I mean with the sound, though? It just sounds so cool. It's such an important thing to me. Alright, I'm sure you guys recognize this guy, Seven Force. Once again, one of my favorites. But he is a little bit quicker, a little more complicated at this point. The speed at which he changes forms is amazing. I wouldn't even know how to cosplay that. I'd love to see it though. Very cool crash landing. All right. Now the enemies are getting a little tougher. Juggle that guy up off the screen. Just got to get them when they jump. Now we're in for a very cool boss. This is the core system. What you're going to see here is 3 different forms. So you're going to have 3 different healths. I believe this first one is the hammer. It's going to do that. It's going to come down or it's going to swing around. You know, I love the notion of depth. You know, the way it spins all the way around to the back of the room. And I love that. That's so cool. Such a great way to do it with the rotating floor and everything. Oh, stopped right under me. Oh, there goes the hammer part we were promised. So that's the hammer form out of the way. So next up, I believe, was the dragon. Kind of dragony. I always felt more serpent, which I guess a dragon is just a big serpent, but I don't know, I probably would have just called it the form of the serpent or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure these things don't hurt you because I should have gotten hurt a few times already. Here comes my favorite. My favorite of the 3. Come on, you gotta think that that's pretty cool. I know I do. Yeah, it kind of throws you for a loop. The yellow ones will go on along the ground. The light blue, white ones will fly up. And if you can tell, you can only damage him when he comes up to shoot. Or to softball pitch him at you. Cool boss, even in his death. You know, it took the Millennium Falcon a trip through a long trench to do that last time. Once again, more creativity. Look at it. Look at a cool view. I'm pretty sure this just went from boss to boss, maybe a little section in between each one. Rush me. Now, if you remember, these were the two guys that were on the first boss, Pinky Rotor. Pinky is herself right there, up in the front. If you see, the one guy took off and the other guy's going to fight you with the Vulcan cannon. Give him a little bit of effort. Not much. So now you see at the bottom, he just showed up. So now they're going to take off and they're going to try and come and get me. I like it. It you know, even back in '93 and I think it was '95 was the first time I played it. That's when you get a sense of personality with some of those characters because of that behavior. You know, and I like that. Games like this where, you know, I grew up, they were running guns. They were very basic. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of backstory, and there definitely weren't cutscenes or anything like that. I think Ninja Gaiden, however you want to say it. I think that was the first game I played that had a lot of cutscenes. I know there were games before it, things on the PC Engine and whatnot, but the first one I played was definitely Ninja Gaiden. This boss is a little interesting. When the claw, there's a moment when the claw comes up and it sort of blocks it, so you can't really hit it. These bubbles become kind of a pain. Usually when it's just when the boss is really close to you. When the boss is further away, you can sort of duck and not get hit by them. Yeah, if you see there, it's not doing any damage. At this point in the playthrough, I didn't remember that, so I kept trying to damage it. Now what's going to happen here is you actually have to get close, and it'll start to shoot the bubbles. That's when it'll be vulnerable. But then you got to be quick because the bubbles will take my homing focus away. Yeah, I got a little frustrated there. So I tried to change weapons, see if that would help. I mean, I did it because I was a little frustrated, but you know what? That's how you learn. You gotta switch up things and, you know, figure out what works best. Not just what works best, but works best for you. You know, some people, you guys may watch this and think that the homing works really well, or that it's sort of a cheesy way to do everything. You know, maybe you like the double flamethrower. I mean, you know, get in there and really mix it up with the guys. Me, for games like this, I try and make it a little bit easier. Just because you never know when something's going to happen that's going to take all your health away. You know, cheap juggling or something like that. Plus, if you're not familiar with the game, you stand to just run right into something that you shouldn't be running into. Alright, so Pinky's dead, or lost in space. They're going to advance a little bit. They give you those boxes there just so you can try and hopefully get lucky, get a little bit of health. Now we've got Orange. He's got a pretty, I don't want to say basic pattern once you remember it, but a few tricks that'll help you get through him. Yeah, he's got a pretty strong slam too. You can still slam him, but you have to get really close to him to do it, obviously, so sometimes it's safer just to not even try and do that. Yeah, see, his invincibility doesn't last too long. And watch it, when he gets under you, that happens. Come on, you keep it up. This is really all you have to do. If you run past him when he's getting hit, when he juggles backwards, you're usually able to avoid him actually shooting anything straight up. So you can just get him to walk back and forth. I guess his muscles were full of explosives. Because that, you know, that makes sense. It would explain what just happened there. Yeah, they give these names to these attacks, Psychic, Gambit, and Shadow Hunter, and somebody let me know if you see an attack that falls under any one of those two names. These alternate. Sometimes you'll get a set pattern. Sometimes you'll get all those rotating orbs right there. Not too difficult. Stand on the edge here just to be safe. But I guess that could be Psychic. So that was pink, orange, and black. So we know what's coming. But not with 7 Force. We're just gonna fight straight up green. And he's gonna use the Gunstar's action, which means he's got that shield, which I kinda wish I had. And he's gonna have a shot all of his own. And he can jump around and grab and throw you too. This can be a dangerous enemy. You want to try not to throw him if you can, but don't make that your strategy because he can throw you right back and it takes way too much health, especially since he's been the 4th boss. So you should already be a little bit low on health. You know, that flashing that you're seeing from me is... it's not because I'm winning. Remember, all of this counts as a stage. So if I die here, I'm going to have to start back at the 4 bosses. Ooh. Notice how if is slowly but surely leaving the sentence. 1 health. Can I do it? Can I do it? No, I can't. So, be sure to join me next time.